Welcome back to the video blog. My name is Adam Daniel Mezei, PMD for Hire, your producer of marketing and distribution. Thanks again for watching. So it's a week full of film reviews, and yesterday's film was Beyond Biba. Beyond Biba by Louis Price, and the producer on that was James Colley. It's an interesting film about the rise, fall, and rise again, and continued rise of a fashion designer come interior designer by the name of Barbara Hulanicki. Well, the proper pronunciation would be Hulanitsky, but in any event, let's call her Barbara Hulanicki, and she now lives in Miami. She basically redefined the London fashion scene of the 1960s and the 1970s. She opened up her flagship store in Kensington called Biba, of course, B-I-B-A, and 3 more stores were opened up along with her former advertising industry husband, Stephen Fitzsimon. The pair would go on to basically redefine how fashion was perceived on the continent in London, because up to that time there was no such thing as fashion in London. It was basically stodgy, a bunch of schlubs just getting dressed in kind of kickers and casual wear. But Hulanicki moved in, and she, being an illustrator and a sketch designer, came up with these really interesting, affordable as well, fashions that became all the rage in London at the time. Main Street, Church, Piccadilly, and in Kensington, that her shops were so popular that they were frequented by people like Mick Jagger and David Bowie, the Rolling Stones, and people of that sort, which is really cool. It's nice to see that somebody came out of a very contentious childhood. Barbara Hulanicki grew up in British Mandatory Palestine. Her father was the Consul General of the Polish Republic in Jerusalem. Really interesting story, and her father was targeted for assassination by the Stern Group, right-wing Stern Group, in the pre-1948 period. That and the fact that she grew up in Brighton as an art student and didn't really want to cleave to the sort of conservative mores of the school in Brighton where she was studying, those two events together combined to give her a kind of a thrust forward, which set her on her path for the rest of her career. In 1976, they had a bit of a falling out with some financiers that had put some money into the Biba operation. 4 stores later, they lost the stores, moved to Miami, and Barbara Hulanicki ended up becoming a designer, reinventing some of the interiors of the hotels and nightclubs that are on Ocean Drive and South Beach in Miami, having the balls to go places where no white designers would go at that time. Of course, we're talking about the 80s, when it was still not as hot as South Beach is today, 30 years later, known for what it's known for. And she basically pioneered some of the cutting-edge designs that you would know today if you went into some of these places on Ocean Drive in South Beach. And people would just basically hear about her. The way she would get gigs would be walking along the beach, noticing some of the facades on the buildings, and just basically be approached by the owners or whatever, or the managers of the places to do work. And that's how she built herself a reputation. No didactic kind of plans. She didn't get kind of phased out by the fact that she was underqualified in certain situations. She didn't get phased out by the fact that she didn't have plans. She just basically went with it. She went with it. She ignored her fears. She went forward. She always took the initiative. And this is something that she learned as a 12-year-old in then Palestine. This basically set the tempo growing up in London and continually moving forward with great backers and a great support team. Her husband, Stephen, the late Stephen Fitzsimon, who pushed her onward in her journey. Today, she's known as one of the sort of movers and shakers in Miami, where she's been living, I suppose, for the last 30 years. And she runs a nice little design house, of course, called Barbara Hulanicki Design. So I had a chance to review the documentary. Of course, I'm not a big fan of fashion documentaries. I like fashion, but I don't need to actually watch it. I generally find them to be very pompous and very kind of posh and cloying. And of course, the people that are watching documentaries or narratives like that are people that would watch them anyway. So what you're basically trying to do is appeal to an outside demographic, an outside audience, trying to engage them and commit them and get them involved with watching the thing. And unfortunately, unfortunately, the filmmakers achieved this on this particular documentary, which is a good thing. They achieve the goal of trying to bring people who are not necessarily fashion people in under an hour. The woman's life is documented in under an hour. So that alone is a feat in and of itself. And I reviewed it, of course, for Film Courage and PMD for Hire. So go ahead and have a look at that. And just wanted to let you know that more reviews are coming, about 3 more, I think, this week. And I wanted to wish you the very best of things. Thanks again for checking in, and catch you again, like I said yesterday, tomorrow. Take care.